Hello everyone, and welcome back to this video, which is in our great engine opening series, and we are bashing the Benoni again with this amazing idea, G4, which I'm calling Oscar's Gambit, because it was played by me by Oscar in Duolingo. So what I'm going to do in this video, in the previous one we went through all the ideas, now I'm going to show you some games of mine as black against the engines playing white, and you will see, well, what happened to me. So this was one of the first games that I played as black against the engines, possibly the first one, I think. Queen e2, and I played the move knight e5. Very sensible move. Neither piece is stable, and I want to stop the knight getting to f3. And this is the actual novelty. There was quite a low-rated game, not great quality game, played with 7 knight c3, but knight d2 is the novelty. And this is very nice. Just threatening knight f3. We're going to get rid of that lovely knight on e5, and also kick the queen back as well. So I played d6, knight f3, takes. Queen e7, and now h4, typical from the engines, just gaining space on that kingside and making black think twice, 3 times about castling kingside. So what I decided here was, well, I knew I was going to play quite a series of games. So I decided to play it the modern Benoni way, takes, and bishop g4. Very normal in the modern Benoni. You know, you're a little bit cramped. Good to get rid of the light squared bishop for a piece anyway, and get a bit of space. So bishop g5 played by the engines. Do look at that idea. Hits the queen on e7. So I mean f6 is kind of the the most normal really to gain a tempo. But now I've got some weaknesses on e6. And after knight d7, then bishop h3. And yeah, I mean, you know, the big problem for white, of course, is that, you know, yeah, for black rather, is, you know, making use of this extra pawn is not easy at all. And well, I mean, white's got his advantages, right? As you're going to see, there's a lot of plans that that white can do to put pressure on the pawn on d6. I mean, in this game, I was a bit dubious between 2 lines, so I actually ended up trying both. I played h5, castles, and now the engine took, and played knight d2. And the engines just think that white's got, you know, full compensation here, really. What's white doing? Well, attacking the pawn on g4, and the knight's coming round c4. Very big idea, this, happening an awful lot in normal Benonis, but also in this one as well. So I kept on going. I played g5. I took off, takes. I mean, I've weakened my pawn structure a little bit, but I felt, you know, that after knight f6, I'd sort of protected everything, attacking e4 a little bit. I thought, well, you know, I should be still slightly better. But yeah, the engines, of course, just found a great new way to destabilize my position. And it's very, very awkward, this move. I mean, if I allow it to go to a6, then I'm a little bit nervous about my king. If I block it with a6, then, you know, white gets a lovely outpost on b6 for the knight. It's just very, very difficult to know what to do. I played rook e8, a5, and queen d7. Notice that knight e4 is just met by takes. Rook h8, rook e8, and bishop d6, which is just winning material. So I played queen d7. I was thinking, you know, I'll come around with queen a4, queen d3, queen a4 was what I played. I knew this was a little bit risky, and I knew that e5 was coming, but I sort of felt, well, you know, I'm getting my queen active here somehow. So d takes e5, queen f5 check, knight d7, rook h7, and apparently I'm playing it quite decently still. You know, I haven't really made any mistakes here, and I kept on playing well for a while. You know, I played c4 here, but this is where you know, it started. It's just started getting a bit dicey for me because yeah, you know, Torch started mixing things up a lot. So a6 was the first move. Yeah, I mean, white's threatening a takes b7 and queen takes d7 check here. Quite nasty. So I played b takes a6. I was not happy about having to do that, which shows that a6 is a very good move, but I couldn't think of what else to do. And now I got hit by something else, because I was kind of thinking, well, you know, I mean, c3 is a big threat here. I've got queen a1 checks and stuff. I mean, I'm not doing badly, right? But yeah, knight b1 came. Very unpleasant move, threatening knight c3 there. So I played bishop b4. And I had actually seen white's next move, and I'd also prepared my reply, unfortunately. So I'm threatening c3 again, but white plays queen takes g4, wins a pawn, and also pins me across here. So c3 would just allow knight takes c3. And here apparently I made a blunder. I was just very focused on, you know, keeping my queen where it was and trying to play c3. But I played the move e4 just to block that and play c3. Unfortunately, I hadn't really appreciated that it opens the diagonal of the bishop. And maybe even if I'd appreciated that, I wouldn't have seen white's next move, which was rook h6. And that was absolutely terminal, because rook c6 check is coming, and I just can't deal with the threat. I'm not quite sure what I did. I think I maybe lost on time here. I just couldn't work out what to do. But rook c6 check, the king goes to d8. There's stuff like queen g5 or bishop c7 check. So just total carnage there. But, you know, again, I didn't play badly, but yeah, you know, I felt under pressure the whole game somehow. And yeah, some very nice ideas there for you just to have as inspiration there. It was very, very unpleasant for black. Let's move on to the next game. So I mentioned in the previous game that I played h5, but I'd also thought, well, you know, maybe I should just take on h3 simply and get my king out of the way and just claim I'm happy here. But actually something here cropped up that I hadn't really thought of, only sort of realised it when white played the next move. And that move is very important to get to see these. It's knight d2. And what is the knight doing? It's coming round to c4, but what it's also doing, it's allowing the rook to come to b3 or a3, which means there's suddenly some quite irritating attacking possibilities there for white. So I played g5, and white played bishop h2. And after bishop g7, I was wondering about castle queenside, but white actually just played king f1. So I think what Torch was thinking about here was also some ideas of even playing b4, right? He doesn't want his king there; he wants his rooks able to come to the files afterwards. So I played the move f5, which was quite decent in actual fact. And then h takes g5 was played. And here I made a mistake. Apparently queen takes g5 would still have led to equality, though I was rather worried about rook h5 style ideas, which just sort of seemed a little bit irritating. I mean, there's also you know, knight c4 hitting the pawn on d6. So there was all sorts of stuff I didn't like. So what I did was play the move bishop e5, which I thought was quite clever. I'm just going to try and block out this bishop. Unfortunately, yeah, I just hadn't assessed it properly, because white played the move f4, so I played bishop d4, and I was sort of thinking, you know, I'm going to have some counterplay somehow. I'm going to have knight b6 to attack the pawn and all of that, but this next move really was very unpleasant. Rook h6, and the rook is coming into e6 and just controlling everything. Very, very unpleasant, that one. Yeah, knight b6 was played, rook e1. I'm not going to show you too much of this game. I'm already -3 according to the engines. And now e takes f5. Knight takes d5. Takes. Rook takes. And that was basically it, because after knight e3 check, takes. And knight c4, hitting that one and that one. When I take there, I'm going to fork afterwards. That was more than enough. I mean, again, you know, I didn't play it badly for a while, a little bit less long than before. But I mean, they're quite difficult problems, these, to solve, and I certainly didn't feel, particularly comfortable. It wasn't something where I thought, I've just got very free, easy play here, and I can do what I want. So, yeah, this again, very, very nice, and some typical ideas. This knight d2 with the rook swinging across, very typical idea. So this was an opportunity for me to try something different, and I decided to go for the Czech Benoni structure with e5. Always known to be slightly passive, and as I said in the introduction, the engines are very, very keen on this. And to be honest, they're sort of well, I mean, in my games, white was going very quickly to slightly better and then just clearly better, almost without noticing it at all. So h5 played just to cramp black on the king side there, and after bishop g4, queen d3, just unpinning. White's going to get ideas like knight h4 into f5, also bishop h3 at some stage. So I played knight a6. In retrospect, I probably wasn't very happy about that. It's a very natural move. You get the knight out of the way, without blocking the bishop's retreat if necessary. Maybe a knight b4, and well, you sort of think the knight will come back into play later, but you'll see, didn't really work. So knight h4, because bishop here, there's knight f5, which is quite unpleasant. So castle queenside, and then this move queen g3 was annoying. And after this, the engines are already saying that white's got a slight to clear advantage, 0.64 for white. I mean, like, what have I done? What have I really done wrong somehow? But I think it just shows that, these positions with these block centers and white more space and black, especially here, not very much counterplay, no active pieces. The engines just say pawn, what do I care? Open lines, that's what I've got. So now another very important move, and do remember this in your games, bishop g5. I seriously considered just playing queen e8 actually, but I played f6. I thought it was a more natural move, and that's really what I want to look at. But it's tough now for black to get free, right? Tough to achieve any break, tough to achieve this. So basically, black's just a little bit cramped, and white's also can think of expanding on the queen side here. Simply, it's just this pawn is not doing very much. That's the problem. So I was looking really to try and get in, something like g5 or g6 at some stage. I play queen f7, bishop h3. Maybe you want to stop it, a little tactic, try and consider what would happen after queen takes h5. Now, queen h5 is met by the very nice knight g6, attacking the rook and preparing this check on d7, discovered attack on the queen. Very, very nice indeed. I was thinking about whether I could, give up the exchange, and but it didn't, or give up, the queen for rook and piece, but it didn't look very nice at all. It just looked good for white somehow. So I played king b8, and after bishop d7, rook d7, we're nearly at +1 for white. Can you believe? So castles, rook g8, knight f5. And now I played the move g5. I thought, okay, we'll try and block it on the king side, and then try and survive on the queen side somehow. But the engines are just saying basically white's winning now. It's gone quickly, right? And I don't feel like I've played appalling moves simply. But I think this position just contains, the seeds of disaster for black. So I'm really tied up somehow. I mean, what I tried to do was just to find some way of getting myself free, but this was unpleasant. This is a very nice maneuver. I saw it actually, but wasn't much I could do about it. Rook g4, threatening to take on there. I mean, remember, if things get exchanged, I mean, I've just got an appalling position with a knight on f5 attacking a horrible pawn on d6. So g5 happened, and then rook h4 again, just exploiting this pin. Can't allow a major piece to get to the third rank. But yeah, I mean, this just turned out absolutely horrible. Queen h3, rook f7, rook h8, takes. queen h7, rook h1, takes and takes, and knight e8. And just for a moment I thought, also looking at this just a little bit ahead, I was sort of thinking, okay, maybe I can do something right, but I am absolutely paralyzed, and all that happens is that the white king comes in and kills me. King h5 to g6 is the threat, and after knight g7, knight h6, rook f8, rook h7, it is completely over. Knight e8 and knight f5 wins a piece. It's a very nice game from Torch, that one, and I was really just totally controlled. And but what was shocking, of course, was looking at the engine evaluations after and saying, my goodness, I mean, it felt uncomfortable, but I sort of thought, come on, I'm a pawn up, I haven't done anything too wrong. But actually, it seems that I did. So, I mean, using this as a model, if your opponents do that, I think you've got a very good chance of beating them somehow, yeah? So what I actually looked at here was, instead of putting my queen back a little bit passive, I thought, let's try and keep it a little bit more annoying, pinning this knight. Maybe you won't want to exchange off queens, and we will see. So rook g1 was played. Very annoying move, stopping the bishop from developing, and we've also got a rook g5. But I had something clever, I don't know, but f6 stops rook g5 and also allows me to bring my queen back to f7. I thought that was fairly nice somehow. So white played rook g3. To defend this, allow the queen to move, also very much thinking about here, or even rook h3. So now I played e5. So we've got a similar sort of position there, but I was, again, kind of hoping that that I would be doing okay. I went for slightly similar development, but with a slightly more annoying queen on h5. Castles, knight a6. I mean, what can I do? I need to develop my knight somehow. h4, of course, and now castles. And now the following move just really took me, unawares here. I thought, wow. Or unawares, but I thought, quite exceptional somehow, yeah? Knight to d2, just offering the exchange of queens like that. Obviously, I can't take this pawn because of bishop g2, and then rook h1 will trap the queen. But, I mean, I was looking at this and thinking, by now I'd sort of understood it, and I thought, well, probably, I'm not going to be much better, but I should be okay, right? But again, it turned out to be extremely unpleasant. So I played the move h5 just to try and hold him back. a3 and then bishop e8. Bishop f1 and g6. So I was just thinking, well, I hold the pawn and then I'm going to try and just swap off the dark squared bishops. But it's actually very difficult. He went bishop h3 check, king b8, king c2, nice and calm. I mean, white's just thinking about going king c3 and b4 and just expanding on the queen side. So I played bishop h6, and this is apparently a decisive mistake. I should just try and keep it tight at the back with bishop e7. What I was worried about was just one of those sacrifices simply at some stage. Maybe after bringing the knight round to f1 to e3, I was thinking, am I really going to survive this somehow? I don't know. These are very unpleasant positions, But, I mean, also in combination with king c3, b4, I didn't really feel like I was doing that much somehow. But I played bishop h6, and he took, and then played this move, rook f1. I hadn't expected it at all. I was looking at all sorts of things like rook f3, when I go g5, all sorts of ideas as well where, you just let black take on e3 and then try and line up on the f-file like that. But, in those sort of situations, I felt I could give back the pawn and not have too bad a chance of holding. But yeah, he just played takes and rook f1, threatening f4. And he's just going to open up the f-file at his own convenience. So I played bishop d7, and now, well, yeah, white took and went rook g1. I don't want to get my rook on here because he goes knight f1 to e3 to f5, and I just can't hold the pawn basically. But that was fine because this was actually what I'd been aiming for from quite a few moves back in actual fact. The one problem is that this is way worse than I'd realised. I thought I was probably slightly worse, but actually the engine thinks that this is completely winning for white. I thought I could use the H pawn to distract black. I thought I could do a few things. Nah, not really. It didn't work out that way. So I played H4. King came to D3. Just use the weakest piece for now to defend the pawn on F2. He started harassing my pawn, and then the king protects the pawn on F2. And it's just clear that I am going to lose a pawn. So I went rook F6. He went F3. And knight D7. And, well, I was vaguely hoping that I would, get a knight on F4. The knight doesn't do very much on F4, but at least it looks like it's got a nice outpost. But this was just horrible, actually, because he started pressing on the other side now, playing B5, and actually what he's aiming to do, either to play A5 and then coming through the A file, or at some stage get the rook over to H8 and come round to A8 and both rooks on the 8th file and just start harassing me there. So I played king b7, rook g3, a5. He went knight f1, and actually I stopped playing here. I was had something else to do, but this knight is coming round eventually, e3 to f5, block the f file, the rooks come in. It's going to be a win simply. But I was really impressed with that. This just exchanging off the queens like that and then just playing this endgame. And I can tell you, I found it very, very hard to deal with that. And this was Fritz 19 in actual fact, so not even Torch. So very, very strong indeed. In this game, I thought that I would try something different and leave the knight on g4 and just try and be annoying with my queen. Try and often, when you bring your pieces out like that, the best thing is not to withdraw them straight away, but to, use the disruption that it causes. Unfortunately, already after this move, the engines consider that white is slightly better at the very least. So goes quickly, right? Goes very, very quickly. So knight c3, key problem here. Knight b5 is very annoying. We're missing the queen simply from d8, right? It should be over there. So I played a6 and now bishop d2. Knight d7. Castles. And now I went knight g5. So I thought, okay, I'm going to swap off, maybe swap off the queens or at least get an annoying pin. This is going to be fine, right? But actually, the engines are just thinking, yeah, well, white's better in this endgame. No need to avoid it. So, knight takes c5 allows f4. So my idea was to play d takes c5. And I sort of thought, well, okay, I'm maybe a bit less of a pawn up, but I am a pawn up and, gradually just get in there somehow, right? But yeah, the engines play beautifully. So this is Torch again with white. Rook g1, hitting the pawn on g7 here. So I played g6. I thought about rook g8, but I thought I'm going to have to play g6 eventually. And now h4. It's actually very annoying, this move, because when I play h5, he is actually threatening to take and then take on here and win a pawn. And obviously, if I take on d5, he might get his knight into d5. So I'm already worrying a bit. And after knight b6, which I played just to get my pieces out, yeah, a4 happens. Wasn't a surprise to me, but didn't make it much nicer to see somehow. So this was what I planned. Bishop d7, a5, and knight c8. Just to try, maybe get my knight round to d6. But there's just too many weaknesses here. Bear in mind, by the way, that if knight here, I think white just plays knight b1 and then b3 and traps the knight. Worth pointing out. So h5. The pressure points on my position are horrible. Knight d6 and bishop e3, another pressure point, hitting that pawn on c5. So I played rook c8 to defend it, and now f4. And this is just utterly appalling for me. It's just gone so wrong so quickly. I have bishop g7, then d takes e6, wins a piece here. So, well, I played e takes f4, bishop f4, rook d8, vaguely holding, d I can take there. But now rook h1 with, and the pressure points keep on coming. I went rook g8, he took and went rook h7, and, this is just totally awful for me. How did the game finish? Oh, yeah, it was f6, e5, takes, and bishop g5. Very unpleasant. Combining against that, I played rook c8, he took, and played the move knight e4, and, I just resigned here because, I'm not quite sure what else I can do, really. It's just total carnage. But, I mean, I hope you can see, just how difficult those endgames were. I mean, these games I was playing whilst doing other things, not at full alertness, necessarily. But, yeah, I mean, I'm still a decent player anyway, and, concentrating fine. So, but this was just very unpleasant to deal with. And I think I just got very much caught, thinking, well, I must be a little bit better here and looking for something to justify that, whereas in actual fact, I was in fact already worse. And not just a little bit, but, slightly to clearly. So again, this is incredibly sneaky and very difficult to evaluate thing for opponents if they see it the first time. So this is the final game of this series of games that I played against the engines, and this was against Torch, and Torch played the move knight df3 instead of knight gf3. So you've even got some variety there. And what I thought I'd do is to exploit it. Just say, okay, you're a bit gummed up there, so I'll just force the exchange of queens, more or less. Haha. But yes, I hadn't... still at that time, this was quite an early game. I hadn't really realised how strong this would be. Now, one of the reasons Torch played knight df3 was to be able to take back with e2 with a knight, and then bring the knight to this very irritating square c3 from where it looks to play knight b5. So I took off. I thought this was not stupid because after knight c6, I mean, I gain access to c6 and e6 for my pieces. So he played c takes d5, and now I went a6. And he went a4 to stop me from playing b5. And he's also threatening a5, knight a4. So I played b6 here. And I sort of thought this is, reasonable. So Torch played this move rook g1, again, highlighting those weaknesses of the kingside dark squares and also the power of the g-file. And knight d7. And I was sort of thinking, well, I don't know. I mean, I must be a little bit better here, surely. That's not actually the case. Engines consider that white's got full compensation. And here Torch came up with something that seemed incredibly slow to me, but on the other hand, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my time. I don't know whether you can guess the move. You might want to pause the video and have a guess, because it's quite something. Yeah, Torch played the move knight b1 here. Pretty good, right? Pieces back in the box. Just coming round knight d2 to c4. And having a knight on c4 makes sense of everything. Attacking this one, f4 coming in, it's a horrible move. So, what I thought, okay, he's sort of hanging back a little bit. I should really be trying here to get something sort of moving. And the engines thought that I should have actually played c4 just to open up some lines for my pieces somehow. Hadn't quite got that far. I played rook a7. I was sort of thinking, I can play rook f7. I can move my bishop out of the way, castle, get some counterplay. Who knows? And after bishop d3, I played the move bishop e7. This was a sneaky little idea. The idea was something like here. I could do something like maybe knight g4. For example, just to threaten bishop h4 check. Knight d5 maybe as well. Was there something wrong with that? I'm not 100% sure anymore. But yeah, I mean it's all quite possible. Oh yeah, knight d5 takes bishop h4, rook g3, but knight g4 is pretty good. But yeah, Torch just ignored me basically. He just went knight c4, castles d6. Bishop d8 and knight e5. And, you sort of think, well, the king's in the centre there. I mean, don't I have something? And the answer is no, I don't have anything at all. I mean, white's already +1. And after my move here, which looks very natural, stopping bishop c4, white's +3. I mean, you can see the potential for disaster here, right? I played c4 a little bit too late, and bishop e2 was played. Rather sad, all this. If I take on here, there's nothing complicated. It's just the simplest fork in the world, winning material and leaving me with a horrific position. I played h6 to try and distract him a bit, hoping for something like bishop h6, knight e4 with a bit of counterplay. He threw in this horrible move. Rook d7 takes. I'd like to take this one, but he's got knight takes e6, so he took with that. Takes, king h7, stepping out. But he played bishop g5. Simply, he didn't do anything, and I think I stopped playing here simply because he's threatening e5, and if I go rook d6, then e5 simply wins. Well, I'm sure you don't want to leave me in a video without having any win of my own. So this, funnily enough, was a game I played against Oscar on Duolingo. Oscar played the Modern Benoni, not a normal choice for him, and g4 happened. So let's have a look. How did I deal with Oscar with his own weapon? So he took e4 and knight e5. So I went knight f3, which is the natural move to challenge this one, and Oscar played bishop d6. So I just thought the most natural thing here was to borrow Torch's idea and play knight d2. And then we're just going to take on there and go knight f3. And that seemed like a pretty decent idea. Takes, takes, and now knight f3. Already a little bit awkward. He played queen c7. I mean, really looking to take back with a queen like that and get some counterplay. Well, I wasn't sure when I wanted to do that necessarily, but I decided to throw in rook g1 because I've got ideas like knight e5 and bishop h6, for example. And black played the move bishop f4 here. Just looking to exchange off the dark squared bishops. So I just played e5. It's a pawn sack. I'm not quite sure what I was going to do. I mean, maybe bishop h6. Maybe just bishop d3, maybe queen c2. I don't know. Lots of ideas, really. I'm pointing towards the king. That's the important thing. So he took, and I took with a queen. This is important. I mean, I've already got ideas like rook g7, and I've also got ideas like queen h6 as well. So, I mean, black's in a lot of trouble here already, I think. Certainly in a human game. So queen a5 check was played, and I played king d1. He played g6 and queen h6. It just goes like clockwork, right? I'm threatening knight g5. f5 was played, and I took off and played knight g5, threatening mate, queen a4, b3, queen a6, and I finished off with queen h7, checkmate. So there we are. That was just a finish on a win. That's how it is. But you can see it's pretty powerful stuff from White. A lot of unusual things in this line that you just would never dream of, really. And yeah, you know, just I definitely think it's worth doing. And just imagine if you've got a double repertory of G4 against the Benko. And g4 against the Modern Benoni. I mean, people are going to be absolutely petrified of playing you with black. So there we are. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm going to do another video on the declined variations.